The high summer's heat oozed into the newsroom like boiled treacle. I could hear a saxophonist playing a jazz riff in the Royal Pavilion Gardens, something slow and sultry in a minor key. Even the long plangent notes seemed to be dripping with sweat. I loosened my collar and tried to imagine I was Nanook of the North, huddled in an igloo. But after a hard day, my brain was too tired to make the leap. The last edition, the night final, was on the streets, and the newsroom was deserted. The other reporters had left for the beach, or more likely the pubs. I should have joined them. I could almost taste the fizz in the gin and tonic, hear the tinkle of the ice cubes, smell the zest of the lemon. But I had to work late, and the heat was doing nothing for my scratchy mood. My byline, Colin Crampton, crime correspondent, hadn't been on the front page for more than 2 weeks. Worst of all, Frank Figgis, the news editor, had started to hassle me about the dearth of hard crime news in the paper, as if he thought I was Mr. Big of the Brighton underworld. What did he expect me to do? Stage a payroll snatch? Mastermind a bank heist? Order up a body, thoughtfully bludgeoned with a blunt instrument? The best I'd come up with for this evening's paper was a vicar fined £5 for cycling without lights. I was frustrated. Brighton's more imaginative criminals seemed to have taken a vacation along with everyone else. Except me. I badly needed a holiday, but I needed a front page headline, a splash even more. I flipped through my notebook, stared at my pitman's shorthand. I willed the strokes and logograms, the dots and dashes to give up a story, any story. But it looked as though the only way I was going to get a splash was to jump off the end of Palace Pier. The saxophonist reached his crescendo. The last notes faded in the heat. I walked over to the window and looked out. The saxophonist was putting his instrument back into its case. He took out a spotted handkerchief and wiped his brow. Behind me, a voice said, "Where's this life of full of care? We have no time to stand and stare." I turned. The poet was Frank Figgis, who had materialised in the newsroom. He was a small man with a craggy face and skin creased with fine lines like worn leather. He had hard brown eyes and a prominent nose. He carved his shiny black hair into a straight centre parting with a tram line of bald pate down the middle. He had his jacket slung over his shoulder. His red braces hitched his trousers up so tight he always looked as though he was walking on tiptoe to avoid a painful injury. He smelled of brill cream. I gestured at the empty room. "Well, let's forget about the staring and just call me the last man standing." Figgis perched